And the second thing I wanted to say about the Crossfire Nano Pro is some people have been getting really confused about CRSF needing two wires connected, both to transmit and receive on the UART. They've been sending me messages going, you have to connect both wires on that. Actually, no, you don't. And sure, yes, you do. The thing that's been confusing people is CRSF version 1 and version 2 could technically negotiate a connection, a good connection for what they did without the transmit from the flight controller to the receiver connected. All it really needed was the data from the receiver, the transmit out of the CRSF transmit out of the receiver to the flight controller. Versions 1 and 2 could negotiate a full connection. All has to do with the way that handshaking takes place that I'm not going to get into here. But CRSF version 3 requires both the transmit and receive wires to be connected. It is 100% true about CRSF version 3. Now myself, I've been working with UARTs since the dinosaurs came over on the Mayflower. So I've always been connecting transmit to receive and receive to transmit on all my UART connections for the past 50 years. So I just connected both wires physically always just because of electronics. So I wouldn't have run into the problem. And I do appreciate those who sent me a note going, you have to hook up both wires. Well, I hadn't hooked up a version 3 receiver. I actually haven't done it yet to a flying platform. So I didn't with my previous ones in truth. I did connect them. That's just the way it is. But here's something I saw strange when I came into the Nano Pro in the same line. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. I need to be able to see the firmware. Maybe this will let me see it. Yeah. Now then, I am up to 6.17 on everything. Well, that's not true. Not everything. Both my transmitters are up to 617. Oops, this one says 616, but that's not true. And two of my Nano RX Pros them are all down on 6.14 and 6.9. I just haven't upgraded all those others. I will. So coming back in here real quick, this is 617. When we look at firmware, when we look at the release notes, this says disables CRSF version 3 due to reports on a beta flight controllers. And then there's a bug fix they did. So I don't understand what 617 did. I know that came out. 6.17. Not recommended with beta flight 4.3. Release candidates 1 through 3. Either use beta flight 4.2 or use version 6.17. So by looking at this, I think I'm answering my own question. It looks like they have disabled CRSF version 3 and version 6.17, just based on this statement. I can't understand clearly what they're got in their text. Link statistics, auto bind, power up, commit hash, don't show RF power diversity RX. Yeah, nothing else in 616 has anything to do with this. But this right here, this line right here, combined with the top line in 617, tells me that there's a good possibility that CRSF version 3 is currently disabled. It's enabled in 616, and this one right here, I think it is enabled if you use 616. And this suggests to me, it doesn't say there's a new switch put in or something like that. I think this, instead of disables, they're trying to say disabled CRS version 3 for the time being due to reports on a few beta flight controllers. So there's some problems. They think it's with the beta flight controllers, likely is. And they're just going to disable it so people don't have problems with it, break parts, et cetera, et cetera. Very good of them. I just wished it was more clear, because there's not a, that I've seen anywhere, a switch in the software to disable CRSF version 3. It looks like this one might use version 3. Let's go back a few and see what happened. Yeah. Looks like CRSF version 3's been around for a while. I don't know one way or another. Like I say, really doesn't matter to me, because I've always hooked up transmit and receive wires both. Hell, back when there were the RS-232 connectors on computers and stuff, was a 25-pin cable. We had to use data terminal, ready, request to send, clear to send, receive, transmit, power, ground. What else besides data terminal ready? There's all sorts of handshaking signals going on. This is 405, 406. 411. Yeah, see, I don't think. I think 607. Yeah, looks to me like version 6 is where CRSF version 3 came out. That's just my supposition. And again, my supposition is right now in 607, 10, 13, and 16, CRSF version 3 is working, but in CRSF version 17, I think they've disabled version 3 for a short time because of problems inside a few beta flight controllers. I don't know for sure. But there's a few little notes, thoughts on two things that's been going on lately, because 607 came out August 4th of 2021. So it hasn't been out long. And of course, the Nano Pro RX just came out like in March. So there's a little information on my part about the power consumption of the Nano RX Pro. I think it's in excess of 500 milliwatts, probably. Well, there's actually another transmitter in there. I would think that it would have to be less than 500 milliwatts, or it would get a bunch of controllers on 4v5 voltage in trouble in the past if the RC part of it. I know they stated the previous telemetry power was 10 milliwatts, 25 milliwatts, something like that. Nothing, no bigger than 25. Nothing like 500. 500's like 20 times more power than it was before. So even at 25 milliwatts, and saying the RC power would need to be larger than that, as telemetry was failing before RC control was. So probably 100 milliwatts or so in there that's for the RC connection itself, or more. Could be more. I haven't seen the technical specification on the power consumption of any of these receivers because it isn't TBS's documentation. We just looked through it. So, armed with that, I would say on that 500 milliwatt 4v5 voltage, the telemetry radio's eating it all up at max power. Whatever in there for control is on top of that. I don't think you're going to get away with it being on there alone, much less like I'm going to do and put a 50 milliwatt consumption GPS module on the 4v5 voltage also. And then CRS version 3 needs both transmit and receive for the first time over version 1 and 2. And that's all I wanted to say about this. So as far as the mini Talons build is concerned, tomorrow, the next day, sometimes when I've got soldering jobs like those 2 flight controllers in front of me, I plan to do it tomorrow, but when tomorrow gets here, I go, no, just don't feel like it today. It is my next thing up. I can do the little wooden hatch cover things and have the airplanes themselves ready to go in a heartbeat compared to what I'm going to have to do those flight controllers. I am going to try to solder up those flight controllers tomorrow. That's my next thing. And then when I get them in, I'll be able to start checking that front deck on the 2 mini Talons for how I'm do the cameras. And then they should be finished. All right, guys. Have a great one. I thank you so much for everything you do for me.